so you do know some donkeys that wear perfume. That's worrying, Bryson.
There you go, and that is a great point to start. Hello, Skigglers.
Hey guys.
We sit down. We sit down again tonight with James Drew of Bike the World. How's it going tonight?
All good. Thank you very much. All good.
And you, Bryson, how's it going tonight?
Right on, Pascal. Excited to be back with James and yourself.
Well, I guess first we have to ask, how does it feel to be going to be soon to be 5 times champion of the Skids and Giggles podcast? How does that feel?
Wow, it's awesome. I love the fact that you guys value my opinion so much. It's all good. That's great. I love coming back and telling everyone my opinions and my views.
Very good. Well, I would like to start tonight off with a bit of positivity. So I guess, can you tell us what gets you excited about working in the bike industry going into 2023?
Going into 2023, well, I've started a few new projects. We're going to open a test center with Piga here locally. We're also looking about getting complete bikes, offering a really, really quite a sexy build for a good price. I am working on another project, but I'm going to have to keep that one quite close to my chest until the next time we speak, I'm afraid. But let's put it this way: we're looking at starting to produce certain things a bit closer to home.
Okay, so you are positive, so that's good. Also, I hope coming strong out of 22. How did that go for you?
22 was crap, to be honest. No, that's not true. The first half of the year was really phenomenal. I think everyone was still riding the corona wave. And then, of course, we have other issues in the world. We do live in interesting times, I must say. Energy prices, wars, and whatnot. And I must say, I noticed for the last half of the year, the consumer is very weary about spending money. So the last half of 22 has been quite difficult, and I've seen that I've spoken to a lot of people, and it hasn't been easy. And of course, with all the delays during Corona and a huge rush to buy bike products, not only toilet paper but bike products as well. I think we saw a lot of delays, a lot of things arriving late, and then arriving at a time where everyone kind of got a bit freaked out and stopped spending. So it's been challenging. However, I'm happy to say 23 has started absolutely incredibly. So I think people are getting over it and starting to normalize and starting to get back into their how should I say, usual buying habits.
Okay, but I mean that's the human condition. We like to be optimistic and looking forward in general. I'm not saying all the times, but what are your kind of markers that you're tracking apart from the obvious, right? So the extreme volumes of sales that are going through your business, but what are the kind of markers that you look at to kind of judge the health of the industry and how things are going at the moment?
I would say, I mean, for me, it's different. I'm quite small, so I can move quite quickly. And I suppose my risk is also not as big as some other, shall we say, larger distributors or even shops that stock a lot more. So for me, it's quite easy to adapt and change quickly. One thing I am noticing is a lot of people are quite overstocked on bikes at the moment. That probably puts me in a good position because I don't sell complete bikes, I sell components. So people are always going to want to upgrade and they want to custom. And I also think the high-end market is always going to work pretty well. I think if you sell really expensive stuff, really good quality stuff, I don't think you're going to see huge amounts of drops in there. I think people are going to continue to buy those kind of things. I should imagine in the lower segment, it's a bit more difficult. And one thing I have seen is there is an oversaturation in bikes at the moment. I've spoken to a lot of people who say, "Yeah, we've just got loads in stock." So I have heard some brands have just rebranded some stuff and sold it as a 23 model instead of a 22.
Well, that's something you hear from quite a few players, not only from the brands. If you talk to a couple of the shops, other people around the industry, it's kind of like as you mentioned before, right? It's kind of that catch up effect of boom time order books meeting a massive slowdown. In 22, and now all of a sudden they get delivered, and hang on, no one actually wants to buy these bikes anymore, and depending on what those bikes are, there is of course there's a bit of an overhang now, or saturation as you call it.
Well, I can tell you I've seen it before. The bike industry works like a wave. At some point, we don't have any stock, and everyone's clamoring to buy stuff, and it's expensive. And then we all order as much as we possibly can. And the next year, we've got far too much, and no one wants to buy anything, so we have to sell it off cheap. So I don't think Corona helped, but this is a trend I have seen quite often before. And I've been in the industry for a while.
But well, from that, there is obviously many ways we can branch out. Of course, we also reached out to our listeners, and I think one of the the key themes, if I summarize it pretty simply, is: are prices ever going to come down again? And you just said, well, it's going in waves, and people order too much, and then there's too many, and so in principle, simple economics, prices should come down eventually. However, dot dot dot, and that's your cue.
Regarding that question, prices of what exactly is what I would like to know. If we're talking complete bikes, I think, yeah, prices. Well, prices haven't gone up. I think spec has just got worse. So the same bike just doesn't have the same spec on it as it should do. So I should think at some point spec will catch up. For example, I know now that lead times at SRAM are back to 90 days again, not 2 years or whatever it was before. So I think we'll see. I don't think we'll see prices change. I think we'll just see complete bikes with the spec they used to have, for example. Which, yeah, ultimately the prices will come down. If we talk about price, due to saturation at the moment, I think a lot of people are going to find there's a lot of cheap bikes out there this spring. So if you want a new bike, I mean, yeah, I guess now's the time to buy one. I do think at the moment it's more extreme. I mean, I spoke about the waves before. And yeah, we've had that, but at the moment it's very extreme. And I think everyone in the industry needs to maybe take a step back and learn something from that. And I do also think it has a lot to do with production, because if you, for example, you produce in the Far East, you have to order all your stuff. You get one opportunity a year, and then you have all your stock. So, for example, bringing production home would be a way to tackle that. So instead of producing everything all at once, we could just keep producing stuff, and just make the how should I say deliverability just better. Maybe we have to wait 2 weeks, but if something goes out of stock, we don't need to wait a year for it to come back in stock. So, I mean, we do well. The bicycle industry as a whole is maybe not only high end, but I think what we're involved in is high end, and I think that's something that really needs to. We need to take a step back and look and say how can we just improve so it runs smoothly, so we can always produce, we can always deliver, and we can have our customers happy.
Well, I think that's one of the key learnings, I think, for people on both sides, right? So consumers as well as businesses, right? It's kind of if anything, the last 2 years or so, they have shown quite clearly what the shortcomings are from sometimes overseas production, and long kind of this contract manufacturing overseas, right, where you put in your big order and then hopefully get it delivered in 2 years, and then hopefully you can sell it in 3 years, and
Hmm.
all that sort of stuff, right? So and there's of course an inherent risk to a production method like that, or like a business model like that. And I think people have come to appreciate quite a bit, um, yeah, more local, more just in time kind of production, and supporting local businesses, and all that sort of stuff. Maybe also just because it was available, right? People were able to produce, and get the stuff that they needed.
Well, I mean, it also depends on technology. Man, Taiwan has been well known for making this, bike parts, and they've been able to make things like this. And I mean, I can tell you now. So, I mean, we make a lot of. I mean, there's CNC machines all over Europe. But I can tell you already, there's things that we manufacture or CNC in Europe are horrendously more complex.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait a second, Pascal. What was that sound?
I started using that sound whenever we wanted to say something about our social, or where you guys can find more information about the Skits and Giggles podcast. We are currently most active on our Instagram, where you can skid right into our DMs and follow along at Skits and Giggles. And you can find our website with all the relevant links and info under the URL skitsandgiggles.com. Also, if you guys like what we're doing and want to know what's up, just give us a follow on Spotify, hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you listen to great podcasts. Finally, sharing episodes you enjoy on your socials, or a heartfelt 5-star rating on your favorite platform goes a long way in helping us reach more cool people like you. Right on, with all of that out of the way, let's get back to the show.
Than the things they make in Taiwan, and often custom or should we say one-off pieces of equipment that we make over here. And so there's never been a culture. So if you approach anyone here, they'll be like, "Yeah, it's going to be expensive." But then there's no one's ever tried to scale this up or thought that's not true. Phil from Pembury is doing very well at this. But and that's where I think we need to bring it back, because we can actually do this here. And I think
For sure.
we can make it more sustainable, and we can probably offer the end consumer a bit more of and first of all, a more interesting product, because we can change it very quickly if we need to, and secondarily, just improve deliverability. That would be the best. It would be nice if things ran smoothly. I mean, of course, you don't sell as much at every different time of the year. Biking is seasonal, but we all know when we sell a lot and when we don't. But we can learn to just improve, deliverability, when we can say, okay, we need to ramp up production when it's quiet, so we have enough when it's not quiet. These are things to think about, and I think these are things that I'm lucky. Most of my brands do produce at home, but yeah, I think it's something that overall, I think it's going to increase. I hope so. Anyway.
Also, one final point on what you said about it's a great time to buy a bike, right? So that does not include only new bikes, but it also a secondary effect of the COVID boom of bicycling, and then now after 2 years of having that bike, figuring out that, oh my god, this is actually really hard if you want to do it. And I guess we're going to come back later to that to that observation that a lot of bikes are available on the second-hand market, where also can some great deals can be made. And so it's worth looking into to buy and sell, and from the different platforms, or any of the closeout sections of bike shops.
Yeah, I also think this year is going to be difficult to sell a second-hand bike because I think there's going to be some good deals out there. I might be wrong. You never know, but I have looked around and I have seen, and I mean, people started offering deals already last November, and you can see how the trend's going. So I don't know. People might just say, "Hey, you know what? The season's starting. Let's put the prices back up to normal," which would be the best for the industry. But I can't see that happening. But you never know. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I spoke to a guy today who was wanting to sell his used bike. I said if I was you, I'd get on with that because I think there's going to be a lot of secondhand stuff available pretty soon. As soon as the snow melts and the evenings get longer, I think there's going to be a lot of them out there. So yeah, maybe get on with that quickly.
This might finally signal the tide for bike prices coming to a reasonable level. Like you hear it time and time again, that bike is just too expensive. And this is coming from a lot of different people um, across the biking scene. From the beginner all the way to the more experienced people. They're just like, bikes are really expensive now. But maybe now that there's a complete saturation, just across the board, that everything's going to come down and it's going to stay down.
I don't think that's going to change. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if you have a frame and you kit it out, let's say you go full SRAM, RockShox. Um, I mean, if you want to make some money, and everyone in between wants to make some money, it's gonna be hard to bring those prices down. I can tell you that because I know the prices from start all the way till the end. And I mean, if we really want to bring prices down, you have to cut out the middleman. So yeah, let's shall we say go direct. Some companies do that. However, if you're buying a high end product like this, which has a lot of moving parts and a lot of functionality, you need to provide a good service. And if you have, one warehouse in Europe and you supply the whole Europe with, shall we say, a 5,000 franc bike, with specced out to the brim, and something goes wrong, and this guy's sitting in the north of Scotland, how are you going to help him? And at the end of the day, let's say we bring prices from, let's say it's a 5,000 franc bike, and we bring it down to 3,500. That's still a lot of money. 3,500. It's not $500. So how are we going to help him? So I have to say, I disagree with bringing prices down. I think we should bring spec up back to how it was, but I think we also have to realize it's an expensive piece of kit, and you need to have it serviced, and you need to have a service behind it. You need to have someone who stands behind there, and when things go wrong, you get help, and they get you up and riding again. Doesn't always work. Sometimes things go wrong, but at least if you have a person on the end who can help, maybe they can help you a different way. I don't know, if your wheel set's bust, maybe they can say, "Hey, look, I'll get you a different wheel set." Won't be the same, but at least you get riding again. But as price goes, I can't see bikes becoming a lot cheaper unless someone completely monopolizes the market.
Yeah, we've seen the examples time again of going direct is cutting the prices. So yeah, you do have a point there. Back to your experiences in the industry, it being so long, and you understanding and seeing these tides come and go. From your end, did you take any? Well, what kind of things did you do to take advantage of the way these things are being so volatile? Let's say, like,
I have to be honest. I mean, when sales really start to drop, and you get into the situation you're in, There's not much you can do. You can slash your prices like crazy and try and sell everything off as cheap as possible. I'm against doing that because I have to put my prices back up again at some point, and everyone's going to moan and say, "Yeah, okay, but it cost this last year. Why is it expensive again?" So I'm not keen to do that. So I mean, the only real way you can do anything is to try and generate sales, generate leads, and selling and marketing is the strategy you need to take at that point.
Okay. And how's it coming with the social media side?
as it's just me working here, it's difficult. I struggle to find the time. If anyone out there wants to help me, I'll give you some handlebars and stuff. Just get in touch.
Yeah, one of the I think one of the key takeaways I got from last year was that being present on the media is a real driving factor, or was a real driving factor for you guys.
Yeah, it is. Marketing is extremely important. I mean, we had one question here, which I thought was a fantastic question. Let me just find it. Here we go. Why is there so much marketing bullshit? It is referring to why are we always changing standards like hub standards, wheel sizes, and this or that, or why is there's so much superficiality surrounding biking and people, and at the end of the day, why is it so cool, and why do we need to show everyone how cool it is? At the end of the day, it's just sale. I mean, it's pure sales. That's why we do it. It's to generate sales. And it is superficial, and it may be annoying to some, but at the end of the day, this is a business. We have to sell. We have to get the word out, and we live in a capitalist world. I can't just sit here with a room full of handlebars and hope someone notices me when they walk past. So that is why we do marketing.
All right. I want to add 2 points to that, just as a to get that out. One is obviously people love being lied to. That's why marketing works. And they want to hear the story, and they want to, be promised whatever. I buy this beautiful golden handlebar and I'll ride off into the sunset to my happiness. You can see this golden handlebar in the background. It's beautiful. You can buy it on James's website, biketheworld.ch. But the other thing, and that ties back to sustainability, right? So I think generally, and that is not only the bike industry, it's a general observation that we need to find a better balance between what you mentioned as service and price, right? So kind of the model that some of the direct-to-consumer brands are pursuing is obviously a volume game. And at some point, if there is an issue, it's cheaper to just destroy the bike and send you a new one than to actually entertain service hubs that then fix your bike and you're back on your way and happily riding for another year or another 2 years, another 3 years, another 5 years, right? So on the one hand, so somehow we need to find a balance between, selling new product and having actual improvements and, doing the marketing. But on the other hand, you also, if you're serious about the sustainability, because at the end of the day, selling new product is not sustainable. It's just because a new tree is being planted for every product that's sold, you're still buying a new product, and the product you have is the sustainable one.
You're still making stuff,
right?
From resources that are limited.
Exactly. So somewhere there needs to be a balance, right? So that's the 2 points I wanted to make to this.
That's true. Well, the first point is quite interesting. Service of. If we speak about service of, I mean, to be honest, the infrastructure is there. There's bike shops everywhere in the damn world. And I always say this, and I like to work with bike shops. And I mean, I also do sell online like everyone else now. And we have the customer that only sells or buys stuff online and never goes to a bike shop. And but I always keep saying, go into a bike shop, you meet people, you find riding buddies. Bike shops offer mechanical courses now. There's a lot you get from actually going to a bike shop and being part of that community. There's a huge amount, and if that goes away, then the whole industry will go away. I always say it to people, if you can, just go to a bike shop. I mean, don't buy a whole bike online and walk in and say, "Hey, can you build it for me?" I mean, they will. It'll cost money.
There's a price for
it. Yeah. But I mean, you might always find, and it's not necessarily going to be cheaper online either. It's just more convenient to sit on your sofa and order stuff. But it's at some point, being part of a community, or being in that community and having fun and riding with people, and that's going to help push you further as a rider. You're gonna have way more fun, and it's just going to be better for you in the long run. And I do have a feeling, I think a lot of people who first start out probably are very internet focused, but I should think at some point, if they want to get a really serious bike, really high end custom built bike, then you have to go to a dealer, or you really have to know what you're doing. Say you're a mechanic, which means you work for a dealer at one point, so that's answers that question already. But I think at some point, people, if let's say they get their first bike, it's an internet brand, they ride it, they start to meet people. I'm pretty sure their second bike isn't necessarily going to just be bought online. I think at some point they're going to end up at a dealer, and they're going to get into that community, and I think that has to thrive, especially at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. I think the challenge for the next 3 to 5 years, and the opportunity, is of course for bike shop in particular to marry up those two worlds, right? Of providing the service and somehow living online, whichever way that means. And I think that's also it's an exciting topic.
We have to live online. I mean, we're going to do it with Piger now. So, this is my plan. If you want a complete bike, then you order it from a dealer. You head to the dealer, you get it custom built. Even if we have build kits available, I want it to go through a dealer. And there's always going to be someone who just wants a frame and build it themselves, and fine, then just buy a frame and build it yourself. There's always going to be those who aren't going to want to go to a bike shop, and that's fine. We have to cater for them as well. But my goal is to really get people into the shops and really get that experience that isn't just owning a cool bike. It's the whole community. It's the high fives and the beer afterwards, and the lifestyle, should we say.
I guess to spin it back to something a little bit more positive. What kind of trends do you see from riders in particular going into this year? So kind of changes. What's kind of hot? What's not so?
They're all going to get younger and much better than me.
Yeah, well, that was a steady process already. The process of decay and being out of shape has long started.
What makes you think I'm out of shape?
Sure.
I'm I'm not in bad shape.
Oh, there you go.
I'm keeping myself, or other people keep me fit. Actually, I have obligations which
personal
keep me fit.
Trainer.
Yeah, you could say that. Do you know what I see happening? I see it now in snowboarding. Snowboarding's changed quite a lot. It was all about the big airs and the amount of rotations and flips or whatever, and now they do crazy stuff. I mean, like centimeters from the ground. And I've seen this, I think, the last year or two, that's really sort of starting to happen. It's fantastic, and I can imagine seeing more of that kind of stuff in mountain biking as well. Actually, just this neat, fun, kind of down to earth, literally down to earth kind of riding, and it'd be fantastic because it just looks amazing. You know, we don't always have to fly as far as humanly possible. We can look good, being closer to the ground.
Big fat skid. I knew it all along.
There you go.
Couldn't agree more. There's pump tracks popping out everywhere. That gives you the skills to build all that, and then basically you can use those skills to it's like jibbing, right?
Yeah, that's
close
exactly
to the
what
ground,
it's called, jibbing. Yeah.
Small, like micro moves, basically off of every little bump. Just doing a little wheel flick or pedal rotation. You can learn all that in a skate park or a pump track. It's it's going to come.
I'd also like to see more
proliferation of all these pump
hardtails.
tracks these days.
We need more hardtail. We need more people riding hardtails, not just us.
You're right. Start the renaissance. Yeah, back on the sustainable producers topic. So, how have you? What kind of trends or response have you got from the people you deal with? Do they like that you carry and promote sustainable producers?
Yes. I mean, maybe if we can just talk about, shall we say, one issue last year with a lot of people, it's just been cash flow. So, I mean, if you have too much stock, you have less cash flow, and that hasn't made things like this easier. So, of course, people are frantic and trying to get hold of what they can. So, I would say for the last half of 22, that kind of philosophy has probably not been everyone's main priority. However, I think as things normalize, and I don't think things will normalize in 23, I think we're all going to have to wait till 24 before things get back to normal. But I think it's going to come again, and I think I hope more people are just going to jump on that and see the worth behind it. I mean, I have good experiences with that. It's easier. It's I don't need to order a year's worth of stuff. And I can forecast all I want. I might get stuck with some stuff. I've got some quick releases back there that I've had for 12 years.
Oh, soon it will be retro, and everyone's going to clamor for that stuff. Trust me.
Well, when we all go back to 9mm axles, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but for non-mountain biking. James, it's called the X bike. It's a phenomenon taking off. Trust me. This is going to blow your mind. You got to look it up.
You've got it. The next standard. Here we go.
Yeah, we just need to market it, right? You are the man to market it. You not only have to
there we go.
You can
market
supply
them,
the
you also
demand.
have the old quick releases.
I might
no
put
problem.
them in a box, and then when someone wants to buy them, I'm just going to say no. I'm going to frame them. And someone's, can I have one of those? No.
A spin-off boutique shop like the world that only carries vintage, like new old stock vintage quick releases and such.
Oh, I was doing
brake boosters, pedals without pins.
I was doing some market research today, and I came across quite a few shops that just do vintage, and I'm like, that is sexy. That is sexy, and I bet you. I mean, that's a happy guy. It looks fantastic, and vintage is always good.
There's some prolific vintage collectors actually in Switzerland. Mm-hmm. I follow a couple on Instagram.
Oh, so. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's a thing. They got some cool stuff.
Shout out to our former guest Terrence Malone, right? He's one of the key people in that with his vintage looking new tires, and he's very active in the retro scene as well.
Well, I love that kind of stuff. Actually, that speaks to. I always say it. Man's most noble invention is the bicycle, and that vintage stuff that keeps that idea going.
Wholeheartedly agree. Have you picked up any vintage brands or non-vintage brands since we last talked?
I haven't picked up any new brands since we last talked, to be honest with you.
Was that a strategy or luck?
When Corona hit, I took in quite a lot of new brands to expand, to fulfill deliverability gaps. And I think for the moment, I'm I'm quite fully stocked. I'm okay. I mean, plus I'm mountain bike. The upper travel scene is what I do, and I would love to expand and get into a whole load of new stuff. But at the moment, I'm not quite ready.
So being a one man operation, then, I mean, you're personable, and I know people get in touch with you often. They're picking up the phone, calling you up, and asking for stuff or trying to figure things out with you. And maybe you can let the listeners know or remind them, let's say, if they listen to your last episode, how that has been to your advantage.
Well, that's always an advantage. I mean, like just buying something online, or even going to a store. Shall we say a big store? Should we talk about fast fashion? No, just going to a store and let's say if you go into a large retail outlet, you normally go in there to look for something specific. What I do anyway. That's probably not necessarily true for everyone. People like to browse. I don't. I know what I want, and I know how to get it. And so you have no human aspect really. Well, you have someone saying, "Can I help you?" And you're like, "No, go away. I'm looking by myself because it's exciting because I don't know where it is." Well, men do that anyway. Women don't. But sorry, girls, but it's true. Um, um, but I think with me, because I opened a new showroom before last summer, and being able to have people come in, sit down, they can have a coffee, they can even have a beer if it's after 5 o'clock. And no, sit down. And what I really noticed is often someone comes to buy something and we spend an hour just talking about biking. And at some point, I have to be, oh, yeah, what did you want? Oh, yeah, you wanted this. Let me get it out. And I think that's a huge benefit because you have the human aspect. You have two people who are really interested in one certain thing and you've never met before. But yeah, you can get together and you can talk about it and it's a huge advantage.
So when are you going to start like your own, what do you call it, like bike club? Because it sounds like it's what you just described to me. It felt like I was just walking into a bike shop, right? And I'm talking to the lead guy there or the head mechanic or someone. He's just chat me up. We're just talking bikes and it's all this and that. Having a beer, maybe or a coffee. They offer it, and you're a nice guy and you're engaging in conversation. It's almost like we're creating a community at your shop or at your storefront. So maybe maybe now my question is, how does James in the Bike the World showroom differ than just walking into a bike shop?
I have a really comfy sofa. Now, how does it differ? Look, people get in touch with me because they normally want to buy something quite expensive, and they get a one-on-one consultation. I'm not open to the public.
AKA asking for a discount.
You should come and ask for a discount sometimes, Pascal. See what happens.
You'll get a beer instead.
I'll just give you as many beers as it takes for you to forget about the discount. No, look, with me, I have a showroom. I have a partner shop with a dealer just down the road, actually, as well. I mean, 95% of my business is bike shops, not end consumers, but I have people who find me online, get in touch, and they want to come by and have a chat and have a look what I have and maybe learn a bit more about me or what I do or what I know about the industry. Is why you guys want to talk to me all the time as well, I guess. But it's not a lot. It's a showroom. You have to make an appointment if you want to come by, and then we'll have a chat. And if I see there's someone who wants to buy a full bike, and there's one of my dealers, is right next to him, I'll say, hey, look, let's have a look, see what we can do. I'm going to get in touch with the dealer, and we'll do something together. You go by there, pick the bike up, and then you have a guy right next to you who can help you out with service. So, I mean, I am still a distributor. I don't have a bike shop yet. I'm not kitted out to do that at the moment. I'd need more people and I'd need a workshop. But this is why I'm keen to work with other partners. So I can spread the love, as it was.
Okay, it's quite distinct then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
is
much
quite
different.
distinct.
It's something you don't see actually.
I do have a
too often.
crowd of guys I go biking with here locally who do tend to turn up on Friday afternoon to raid the fridge. But yeah, Pascal, you haven't been by yet.
Well, but then again, the location of the showroom is also very strategically placed, right at the bottom of a fantastic trail.
That is true,
especially in the summertime. So now that the situation has been clarified in the canton of Zurich, you can happily ride that anytime you want.
That is true. I might just put a sign up in the woods.
Exactly. 100 meters, beers on the left.
Thirsty? Question mark.
Bike this trail, bike the world.
That's a good idea. I'm going to put an arrow up that just says thirsty and biketheworld.ch.
There you go.
Yeah, no. Look, I mean, I've been expanding my whole life. I mean, to be honest, I've only been doing this full time since 2019. Before that, I was always employed as well. So, from the last 2 years, I have grown from doing it at home to getting a location, which I've managed to completely stuff with bicycle components to, I mean, at the moment, I'm also looking to expand and branch out. And that is something I want to do in 2023. I have some nice brands. I have some nice interest. And it's something I want to do, but I also want to include, some of the guys I work with as well, my customers as well. I want to make sure we can all move together. We can't move forward alone. We have to do it together, and that's what I want everyone to take away from this.
That's a powerful one. Yeah, I'm with you.
Love it. Then let's get back to more bike-related questions, and I think we wanted to use that one for closeout. You actually put that forward yourself.
Oh, what the elephant in the room.
I love that
being the
James.
key.
James is taking control.
The five times undefeated Skids and Giggles champion takes the liberty to ask his own closeout questions.
I'm going to ask a question now.
That's how he rolls.
I'm ask a question now.
Do you want to read it yourself, or do you want me to read it?
No, I can read it. I don't need to read it. It's my question. So my question to everyone out there is, why does everyone want e-bikes so badly?
Good question.
Are we answering this?
Bryson, I'm sure you have a very valid take on this. You go.
I mean, you guys already laid it out. It's the new shit. And because this bike company, who is known for selling everything else, is saying, we have a new e-bike, people are like, hey, they have a new product. And it's better because it's electrified. Mm-hmm. And it's got a touch screen and a button. And it weighs more. And I have to invest more money into it when I use it. So therefore, it's a better value to me.
And I won't sweat going up a hill. I'll be faster than my friends. Oh, no, I'm not going to be an e-bike hater.
All right. Well, let me get my take out, and then you can get on your rant. All right. I think...
For the record, I like e-bikes.
I think e-bikes have their place. I personally don't have one. I think a lot of people have figured out over the last 2 years, as I mentioned before, that biking is really hard, whichever discipline. So if they've already spent 10 grand on a nice looking bike, and now they can spend marketing, they can spend 15 grand on a nice looking bike with a motor and, touch screen this and electronics here everywhere.
Extra button.
Then why not? Sounds great. I don't sweat. But I see there's practical reasons for it too, right? So there's the whole notion of is it really that bad if someone that otherwise just sits on the couch is now riding an e-bike and actually gets out and does something? I think that's a net positive. It also means for the industry, yes, a lot of e-bikes are sold. A lot of margin is being made on e-bikes. but that is also flowing back into other products. So there's some of the stuff that I use a lot on my bikes is actually e-bike stuff. Breaking news, it works perfectly fine for normal bikes too. Just because it says e-bike specific does not mean it does not work with normal bikes. So yeah, generally these things are pretty sturdy and are pretty durable. So yeah, overall, I'm not all that negative. And if someone only has an hour to ride, and if the question is, I can get one lap in on my Hausberg without a motor, but in the same time I can get 2 laps in with an e-bike. Is that really that bad?
You will not get as much exercise doing 2 laps with an e-bike as you will doing 1 lap with an analog bike.
False. There have been already some studies shown that it's actually the fact that you're getting out for an hour and you're actually working for an hour, the cardio effect or whatever, the cardio work that most people do when they ride an e-bike is pretty similar to what they do on a normal bike. It's just that they ride much further.
Really?
There's a very good study out of New Zealand, I think 2 or 3 years ago, that showed this. So
I could be wrong.
With that, I leave the stage to you
for my rant,
and you can fire away.
I don't know. I don't have anything against e-bikes either. It's just I asked the question today because recently I've been talking to a lot of shops, and they all have a huge surplus of e-bikes in stock. Which my question came. Okay, look, Corona were the golden years, and I think a lot of people have to realize there was a boom, and after the boom, it's not going to continue like that. It's going to go back down to normal. And I might be completely wrong, but I think there was an e-bike boom specifically because there was a lot of people getting into biking for the first time. And I saw it with a buddy of mine. He tried one of my hardtails and he loved it. And then a friend of his like, I'm selling my e-bike, try this. And he used to bike a lot when he was younger, but hadn't done for years and years. He got on the e-bike and was sold. I had no chance. And I'm like, yeah, okay. That's interesting. And yeah, no, I tend to disagree. For me to go up the hill once, I think to get the same with the e-bike, I'd have to do it about 5 times to get the same amount of exercise. But it's different. It's a lot slower. Going up on your own is a lot more intense. But anyway, that to the side. I noticed there was just no convincing it. And I'm like, is this because he doesn't know... has he not experienced what it is, to ride something else? He's just had the option between, okay, maybe a hardtail wasn't the best thing to throw him on to start with.
Why not?
Well, I think you need to be, specific person to really be into that. Masochist, pretty much. But and I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I've ridden a few of them. I have never had as much fun on the down with an e-bike as I ever did with, my slackline, my good old trusty, no motor, just aluminium, 160 mil travel. About 15, 16 kilos. I've never managed to have the same experience on an e-bike. They're just too heavy. Of course, people are making them a lot lighter these days, which might change. But maybe I also have a fear: are we going to end up all having motors on our bikes?
Well, I guess it remains to be seen. I think it's just another arrow in the quiver. I guess Bryson doesn't want to talk too much about the product pipeline, but I think what has recently been coming out of some of the otherwise more traditional bike brands, such as Transition, has just brought out a new version. Trek has brought out the XC, which has raving reviews. A lot of people that I know that ride the XC. Mm-hmm. They absolutely love it. The reviews from the Transition is absolutely great. A lot of other bike brands have light or very light e-bikes. So yeah, I mean, I guess things are moving in a certain way, and I guess people are just going to decide eventually if they want to ride an e-bike or not. And then there's as the same as there are different shades of mountain bike, right? You can call a mountain bike if it's a cross country bike with 100 millimeters of travel and it's a hardtail and it's made for cross country racing, and you can call a downhill bike a mountain bike. But are they the same bike? Not really. So I think e-bikes eventually are just going to become a different shade of mountain bike. So
that's okay.
Or
I mean,
or as others called it, a shitty motorbike.
I mean, I'm going to put another question to you two: is having an e-bike not cheating?
Having an e-bike is actually a different sport. It's e-cycling. It's not cycling. It's really just, it should be just thought of as differently. Yes, you can have all-terrain, mountain-type e-bikes that can be ridden on the same trails. That's totally fine. But it's you're really doing a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole different aspect of riding an e-bike. You're thinking about your motor. You're thinking about the torque. You're thinking about, you're trying not to do, you're trying to experience the joy of cycling. However, there is a technical aspect happening. And I think, okay, for some people, they're just glad that they don't have to put in so much effort. And that's great. But you know what? Sometimes they still have to push the button that gives them eco mode, sport mode, and turbo assist and all these things. They still have to push the other buttons that tell them, tell the bicycle to shift. So there's still a mechanical aspect. And in that respect, there's still an electric aspect where you have to be a little bit cognitive of you using the electric part of an e-bike, right? So that's how I consider e-bikes different than a normal bicycle experience. Now, saying that, e-biking, especially e-mountain biking, is definitely not going away. The idea of having a e-mountain bike and going into the forest and actually maybe getting a more of an exploratory or more of a sense of an adventure or going further, this is all like coming down to your human nature. So we're all trying to achieve more, right? And the e-bike is just giving us that advantage. I like riding e-bikes. Sure, it's fun. I mean, I've ridden all different kinds, from like the fat bike e-bikes with hub motors to, just like the brand new class of like those lightweight ones with like the tiny engine and the tiny battery, and they feel like almost like normal mountain bikes. And actually, funny we brought up this topic. I didn't expect it at all, but I was listening to the Rob Roskopf Pink Bike episode. I'd put it on my playlist a long time ago. I never got around to it, but he's actually, he's a big fan, and he's riding the Uno e-bike, and he thinks it's fantastic. And he's an OG mountain bike guy, right? Like co-founder of Santa Cruz, one of them,
original gangster.
Yeah, totally, and skateboard culture, right? So, there's diversification going on.
You don't get motors on skateboards, so.
There you go. But I have a great one to close it out for today. Why don't you take those quick release things, put a made for e-bike sticker on it, and sell them as e-bike ready quick releases? I think with that, we close it out for the night.
I'm just going to have to say
James?
one thing. No one's going to put a 9mm axle in the back of their e-bike, I hope.
Okay, you cut that part out.
Well,
All right.
But if they want to find one of those e-bike specific quick releases, where can they find you?
www.biketheworld.ch.
Sweet. We'll put those in the show notes as always. Let us know what you think about e-bikes and why people love to hate them so much. With that, we close it out for the night. Bryson, hope you have a good night. James, great to talk to you as always. And with that, we close it out.
Bis später. Tschüss miteinander.
Ciao, ciao. Thanks for listening. We really hope you enjoyed this episode.
Pascal and I put a lot of heart and soul into this podcast, and it means a lot to us that you've listened to it. We'd also really appreciate if you shared it with the people that you know and care about. Until next time, Skigglers.